This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. I have a game plan on how I like to use my guests, especially the guests that I like to have on here on a bit of a regular basis. And, back by popular demand, the streets demanded GBUSH back in the building. I gotta get? I gotta get a soundboard like you radio guys got, right? To get those sound effects like back in the day, like,
there you go.
Okay. Oh, he dropped the clue. You got a clues bomb in there?
No, I just got. Yeah, that's when you tell a bad joke.
See, you ain't never used that one with me, so we all right? Good.
Hey man, you gotta watch it though, man. Like when you break it out, like because we be watching. We're listening to Flex and Clue for years. Like I'll be wanting to do a whole rant like Clue and them. They be like.
They be playing the little sound bars like it just be like magic, like it be looking like the RZA making a beat. Like, yeah, when Charlamagne be out here getting the clues bomb, like everything else.
It make you feel good. But some people ain't used to it. So our fan base be like sports, and some people just don't get it. They be like, why are you guys playing those sound effects? This is mad. I can't even listen. I'm gonna have to turn this off, guy. Please don't bring that back. You'd be like, if you was listening to Hot 97.
Look, you ought to hear the coldest, like in football, the coldest with the soundboard. This is deep lore stuff. My man Vosh Lombardi, he worked for Ringer now. He do offensive line tape, and he does like cowboy stuff. My man is special with the sound.
Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
My man, like he's a great evaluator. I always have him on here to talk offensive line whenever I can. But he worked for the Volume, not the Ringer. My bad, the Volume. He worked for the Volume out there. He do stuff with Colin Coward at times. Yeah, but he OG YouTuber. His live streams I'll be watching sometimes. Man, that man is special with the soundboard. I was like, he gotta have somebody working it because ain't no way. Yeah, it'd be clean. Like every sound, he had a Jimmy one. I'll be like, I don't have that kind of 3-dimensional focus.
Yeah, just to get right back into it. It don't be working that way. Like, man, but shout out to, I'm gonna have to check him out because them soundboards, boy, like you gotta that's love. That make half the battle.
Hey, look, man, going to college for television broadcast has taught me one thing. It's a reason why one of them machines is somebody's entire career. Like, hey,
just want to
people be thinking it's easy. I'll be like, nah, see, I do what I can to make it happen. But there's a reason somebody's whole career is to ready one and set one. Like,
and it's a flow too. It's a flow. Like, it don't be like they just... I'm gonna rehearse and you hit it now. It's like impromptu in the middle. They know when the drops is coming. Like it's crazy.
I did what I did. I did what I needed to do in school to know how to work everything technically. But I did it with the understanding that, oh boy, I am in front of the camera person, not behind the camera. Nah, that's too much. That's difficult. You gotta know
all your levels, and it's just
they be like, listen, and they show you the board, and they be like, "Hey, real talk, this ain't shit between what you gonna have at. They got like 300 channels on." I'm like, what?
Hey man, when I started the game, when I got into the game, man, I was just a dude who was just doing answering phones and working the board. So when I was doing drops and different things like that, it took me years to be able to get some money off with doing that, man.
Hey, man. Everybody, whenever you see a TV broadcast mistake and people like, I can't believe that happened. I'm like, you would be amazed that they could bring this stuff to you in the way that you could if you saw how it all went down. Like, shout out to all my television broadcast people, man. That's a tough job, man. Look, I can't do it. I was in them classes and I was learning. And I was like, boy, I better learn how to talk for a living because I ain't gonna make it as no technical director.
Like, I'm gonna try. Look, I've been telling people, I'm gonna, like, when you back to town, I'm gonna try to get you in studio. And because here's the thing, man, like when you be on these little sets, like when we be on WKYC channel 3, we only learn for a half hour. But the thing that scare you is like going from cursing to not cursing, right? Like in radio, like I got a whole 2-3 minutes, a dump button where I can go off on a tangent and lose my mind. Or if the mic is accidentally on and I got about a minute, they can dump all that out, right? But when you on like regular television, ain't no dump button, bro. Like you can't slip. You be like,
them lights is hot. Look, them lights is hot. When you, my first time, like I'm comfortable enough because I've been doing live streams now for like 2 years, 3 years. But I remember first time I went live, dog. Like it was tough, right? Or like when I would go live on TV for some things, it's like, oh yeah, you realize how sweaty you get doing this thing. Like there is something too. What we were talking about with DTR a couple weeks ago, we were like, "Hey man, I don't care how prepared he thought he was to start. There is nothing like that first start because we all remember the first time we like. It's one thing to be on TV as somebody's guest. It's another thing to be on TV and you got the ball. Like,
you run the pick and roll. Like it's just like, you hesitation with the clock rolling down, bro. It's tough.
It's different. It's different when you live, like on somebody else's live. Okay, you get used to that after a while. It ain't your show. You know, you just gotta answer questions. But when it's 4 hours of content and you the content for most of it, dog.
When you throw in the studio audience, that adds another level to it because now it's like you're aware that they're listening to you, and you almost got to black out to a point where you got to act like they're not there. Like so, and it's not like a call and answer. You got to just do the show. Somebody could have passed out. You doing a remote in a bar, or you doing a live studio audience. You know what I'm saying? And there's people in the back, and they just doing stuff. Like you got to kind of just do your thing, man. Like after a while, you get used to it, and then you get this unreal confidence, like where it's like you just be walking in the mall, and you walking in the mall like, you loud. Hey, can I get 2 pair of those Jordans? Yeah, over there, right there, size 14. 14,
now,
yeah.
Speaking of that, let's briefly talk because I just find this whole situation. I've been laughing at it all week, man. Poe Clayton too. They done left that man. You done forgot who Clayton Toon is already, G.
Hold on. Listen, he was so obscure. I said, who was he talking about?
He was confused.
Listen to pregame notes.
Nah. Clayton, poor Clayton Toon.
That was his one and only. One and only. He's dog.
No, I'll tell you this. People say we said DTR for failure, and on some level you can make that argument. But here's the thing, man. DESHAUN could play. Like DESHAUN could have played. Like it wasn't that he couldn't play. He was out the next 5 games. Kyler got announced to be the starter on Monday. To which I would love to know what Clayton Toon's family thought about that. Like that imagine, man, like, okay, I've talked enough about what it felt like to be Clayton Toon that day. Like a brother came from playing in Houston versus Texas San Antonio to Miles and Garrett, dog. Like it's just it's tough. But then we bring them to this. All right. Your family was either watching that game or worst case at that game. So, G, that made me ask you a question because, look, I never played sports at a high enough level to where my family would care enough to come to no game that I was in. I wasn't that kind of athlete, but I imagine that you were at some point in your life. And I want to ask you, G, what's the biggest ass whooping you ever took for your family?
Oh, let me see. There's been a couple of them. Oh man, what sports you want?
Let's do football. All right,
let's do football. So, oh my goodness. Let me see. We was pretty good. In high school. Like I only lost like 4 games ever in high school. So I can't get mad and say we got disrespected in high school. But I will say this: my senior year, There's a movie out called Go Tigers, right? Man, everybody knows about the Massey McKinley rivalry. It's been like 120 years or something. And so prior to me doing that, this situation, it was a documentary that followed both teams for a whole season. And it was like in 1999. So they following guys, they following us, and they get into the last part of the game, and the whole premise is that they needed a levy to pass in a school district. And so they was like, man, we got to win this game to pass this levy. It was some magical movie stuff. And let me tell you this. So the first half, we playing the game, and they threw 3 interceptions. The game was 7-7 at halftime, right? And we had won 2 championships in a row. So I ain't used to losing. We get packed on that second half, and these Massillon Tigers came out and hit us with like 21 unanswered. And it was like, they was just TIGERS. They played Eye of the Tiger every single first down. These dudes, and listen, I was so
and that wasn't normal back then to have music at the game at a high school game.
Who gave them rights to the and it was on our field. We had
like, am I in a league?
Like, they had a caged tiger. They're running up and down with a tiger on a leash, get their money off, and we was like, and then so it had got so bad that it was just typical inner city guys just losing their cool. They was up 35-7, and I almost didn't make it. I wouldn't be here sitting here if somebody wouldn't have got me. Like, they had ran this play, and it was like a reverse flea flicker or something, and it scored. Then they got like a 15-yard penalty for celebrating. So I just go off. I'm losing it out there. The ref's like, somebody better get this guy. And I'm like literally like almost about to like physically contact the ref, like talking like this. They get me out the game, throw me out the game. I'm like, listen, I start going off on my coaches. Completely snapped. Going off on the coaches. I said, you lost it. My mom, now it's 28,000 people. My dad comes down to the sideline like, you better calm down. I start going off on my dad. Snapped. It's the worst. Listen, they played, this the first time music was ever dropped after first downs. I think that was the most disrespectful part. It was the fact that they was getting their theme songs off on us, dog.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. He dropped that he blacked out, but he knew that they was playing Eye of the Tiger after the first time. Like, that's how mad it made it. Damn. And that song was just old enough to be corny at the time, right? Like,
it was rocking though. They was rocking. They
got those long ass chants that you ain't never heard your fans do, dog. Like
the chants. Winning team, losing team, winning team, losing team. I was just like,
you saying they're like, our student section don't do this. We ain't live like this. Why they doing this to us? And y'all have to remember when G. Bush is telling this story, you have to remember G. Bush like 6'5". I'm pretty sure he was 6'3" or at least as a child.
Same size, 280. I'm about six. Like that time, I'm like 6'4", 275, 280 playing DN. I like, yo, listen, it was crazy. They was doing us so dirty. And that's the problem when you ain't used to losing. Like, you can't, like, they had movie theaters guys there. Like, there was a whole film crew, like a crew there. And then they still celebrated because the movie came out 6 months later, and they played the movie in the halftime when we played them in basketball. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Y'all gonna show clips on the Jumbotron and turn the lights on? I hate you. I hate Maslin to this day.
The fact they could play video, it's crazy.
1999, crazy.
No, Moss College didn't get a video board till 2005.
They got an indoor facility, bro. They got they had a turf facility.
Nuts.
Like,
that is a nuts place. Like, crazy. The fact that it was them in Ohio Stadium that hosted the state championship is crazy. But like, I imagine it's frustrating because like you played Division I football. Like, real Division I football back when the MAC was not like like a weak conference. Like it wasn't no Power Five, but
we had
it was still
and
there were
Leftwich's,
draft picks consistently out the MAC. So like that was something. And I bet it was like most games, you know, you got what you needed to get out of them. And then you get stifled. And it's like they jamming on you. And it's like they didn't even expect this to be difficult, dog. Like
it was like one of them things where like it was a landslide. Like we couldn't, our little pet plays weren't working. Listen, and then you know it mess you up when white boys get you the best of you. They're like, whoa, yeah, whoa.
They talk. It's not that trash talk you used to, right? Like you could build up a callus to the trash talk that you hear in everyday life, but you go out there, you play Dayton or something like that, and you get some different trash talk. You ready to fight because you ain't got no callus to that.
Let's go, buddy. Let's go. And man, these dudes out here having good, clean fun on us.
In the middle of in the middle of Ohio, dog. Them the type people slap your ass and talk trash like.
They talk trash. Like, hey, buddy, hey, 71, hey, good hit. I'll be ready for some more.
How many did y'all have? Like multiple D1 players, or were you like?
No.
It was just you.
We had. Listen, our middle linebacker went to Kentucky. This was 6'4", 240 at Mike. We had Antonio Hall. He's the coach now. He was a parade All-American. Our other defensive end went to Kentucky. Our other we had a corner. Like they just crazy. We got all our dudes is deep. We had like 5, 6, 7 D1 dudes.
So you used to scare guys, like especially on the defensive side, and there was no fear.
I had the neck roll and everything. I had the huge neck roll. Go rent the video. Go look it up. It's called Go Tigers. You'll see 71 out there looking like a monster, running around like an idiot after we get beat 35-7 on our own home turf.
Crazy. It's crazy.
They had wild caged animals out there. How do you get a permit for that? It's a real tiger.
My dad played at Adams, and he played with a dude named Andre Nash, who ended up going to like Arizona or something like that, like a true blue, like Division I Power 5 prospect. And he was like, man, we played, I think it was Kent McKinley or something like that. And he was like, when I saw them swallow up Andre Nash, I knew we had no options left because imagine that's your superpower, and they just ate up they made him another victim, right? Like that's like remember what happened to Travis Hunter in Colorado, and the season was over after that. Once Stanford made Travis Hunter, who the whole team's been like, as long as we got Travis, as long as we got Travis, we got something. And then Michael Ehrlich, some dude you never heard of before, got 300 on him. It was a wrap, dog. Like there is nothing like when you see a team go, dog, that's our best mans, and they ran through him. Like that's like what He's when Thanos ran through Hulk, and what did Thor do? Get out of there, dog.
Listen, Endgame. Look, we knew Endgame was when we saw. See, they messed up. That was dirty. Like we knew Endgame, Marvel Endgame, and we knew Thanos was that dude. He was him. And you know how in the first scene he had Thor on bended knee. Then Loki pulled his best trick. Loki was like, "Ha ha! Got you! Look at this trick."
Washed Thor and then boxed Hulk and then killed Loki and bounced.
And and the henchman wasn't even involved. Hold on. He got that. Don't worry about that. Listen, Thanos not Bruce. Listen, he had an identity crisis after that. He didn't know what was going on. He's like, I'm just gonna be a scientist the rest of the movie.
All right. We gotta talk about Deshaun Watson at some point.
We got 10 minutes left. I'm sorry.
We gotta talk about the Browns at some point here. But yeah, I say all that to say to Clayton too, man. I know that gotta suck. I know you ain't get nothing off, nothing to celebrate. Like it was just
he can't even use that film. Can't even use that film work, dog.
Oh, dog. Look, ain't nothing like that when you got a significant person in the stands for that too. Like you just got to go back home and talk about it. Like, nah, dog, we good. We good. But let's talk about Deshaun Watson. I said to you last week it's gonna be a process. I still feel like it's gonna be, parts of the process there. What do you feel about what you saw about Deshaun, and do you think he's ready to make the 8 special throws he's going to have to make in this game in order to win?
Well, look, it was a little shaky in the beginning. After I went back into all 22, some of those was a little catchable. It wasn't as bad as I looked. It looked in all 22 when I went back and looked at it. But I will say, some of those throws he gave me, if we gonna you see it, since we talk about Marvel superheroes, he gave you 3 or 4 things that he did that made you made you remember that he do got superpowers. Like, so a lot of people was throwing dirt on his grave a little bit, like, oh, his arm strength, we don't even know, he ain't even seen. He put 3 of them things, he put them together. He was like, okay, that's what we need to see. However, this is different. This ain't henchmen. This is real universe threats coming to town with these Ravens. Like, you're gonna have Lamar Jackson. Their defense is just as stout as your defense. And when you ask about what is he gonna do? My thing is this: is he going to have the ability to come there and not only give you those 3 that he gave you, but can he control the game with his mind? Can he control and maneuver a little bit? Because I think he's going to have to really, with his mind, be able to get his team in the best position, not from a standpoint of routes, but how is he going to handle protection schemes? Because now you got a lot going on with DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones isn't playing his best game. Didn't play his best game because he's injured. Then the left tackle, we don't know what they're doing. They've been really finicky. They haven't said what they was going to do. They just said they got options, but he's going to watch that.
No, that's what I feel like. Since the context changed on this game, right? Because it was his first game back and people were looking like asking, is he going to be back? Is he going to do this? The context changed to what that game needed to be. And I thought he was the quarterback that he needed to be in that game, right? What you needed out of that game was somebody who was going to quarterback smart, not turn the ball over, make a couple big plays, get this thing out of reach early, and then get on with your day, right? And that's who he was in that game. But if he was playing this game in the context of the regular season, I don't think people would be like discussing it as much because it was just a regular, just what you need your franchise quarterback to do type game. I think the most important thing in that was no turnover-worthy plays from the quarterback position. Absolutely none of them. And I think you brought up a great point. I think he made his biggest difference at the line of scrimmage, right? You didn't see a ton of miscommunication on blitzes. You didn't see a ton, like, was it last week we saw the play and then somebody tagged me and you in it where Jed ends up 2-on-1 on the edge, and he's basically and he tried to like elbow the inside guy, like, because there's nothing he could do at that point, because they didn't shift the center to the left side like they were supposed to. That's stuff that you're not going to catch there because maybe Joel can't see it or PJ doesn't see it because he's too focused on other things. But Deshaun will see that, get that shifted over left. I thought the checks to runs were better, much better in this game, right? That little stuff is what helps you play that turnover-free football. I'm also encouraged because it felt like some of the stuff with Deshaun throwing the football built on top of itself, right? He took more checkdowns in this game. I believe Jerome Ford had 5 receptions, 5 checkdowns in this game, right? How many times we know that, you can't find a running back? He got to the running back, right? He got to his check down 5 times in this game. Didn't take those hits. He took 1 hit in this game that I was like, probably shouldn't have took it, but I understand heat of the moment. You got to test that shoulder. And look, man, I know people don't want him to get hit, but at some point he's got to know that shoulder can take a hit before he's going to feel like himself.
Because that's part of his game. It's a big part of his game.
Well, look at Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow, I would say the game that brought Joe Burrow back was that 27-point loss that he had to the Titans because he got his ass kicked in that game physically, but that calf didn't break. And once he realized that, very next game, looked like he was back versus Arizona, right? So it's about trust. He trusts that injury now. A lot of coming back from injuries, is just being able to trust your body again mentally more than is it physically okay. It's a lot of stuff that you have to get over there. And I felt like he was able to build on top of some stuff from Tennessee, right? Those throws over the middle that didn't get caught, but were very nice. Getting to the points where him and Amari can draw up a play in the middle of a game.
Very encouraging.
That's the Deshaun Watson we know, because as special as Deshaun is as an athlete, and I hope he realizes this, as special as he is an athlete, the things that got us excited about Deshaun early in his career were what he can do from the pocket and what he is mentally, right? His intent. That's why the Browns gave him $230 million. They wasn't going to give him $230 million because he run 4.3, right? They gave him $230 million because they felt like he was a special processor of football, that he was a special thinker of the game. You notice that big fat smile Kevin Stefanski had at the press conference where he was talking about, oh yeah, they drew that one up, because coaches want that kind of input, right? They want a quarterback who's like, hey, we can work together. You might not be seeing it as a play caller right now, but how about we do this because we can leverage these corners like that? And you notice what they did. All they did was pretty much say, hey, we're going to leverage this corner to just move shit out the way. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have Amari Cooper go deep. And because how they're doubling Coop, nobody's over top. They're just both coming from underneath. I can out-throw the double coverage, and Amari can get to that spot. We're going to be fine. And to have the confidence to draw that up and then throw it. Because, again, that's the kind of Deshaun Watson from Houston stuff where, hey, they doubled him, but he figured out I can out-throw that. That's the most encouraging thing, because that's the stuff. Like being open, throwing to the open man, that's cool. Of course, you want to hit your layups. That's fine. But elite quarterbacks, it ain't obvious when they hit pause, right, or that top of their break at the film where they go with the football, because they can make windows happen, or they can create things. And that's what was special about Deshaun in Houston. And I thought you saw more steps in that direction than and that game kind of lined up with the evolution of what you were able to do versus Tennessee. Even though the numbers were much better in Tennessee, I felt like the throws that he made in context were just as impressive on a physical level, and more impressive on a mental processing level. And that's where I feel like I'm more encouraged with him taking that step towards the right direction.
What do you see him what do you want to see him build off of for that? Because we both agree that it's in the right step. You see the progression. You can start to see the throws that's on target, the throws that he hit that was in tight windows, and then you get to see the improvisation with him and Amari Cooper. Where do you want to see the next evolutionary step for that to be? Because he's going to have to do, as you alluded to, some different things to beat a defense like this in Baltimore.
I think it's about volume. Right. I think, it's the same stuff that they did against Arizona, who I thought that secondary was actually playing well, because all those throws, they played hard and tough. Like that one ball they broke up to good one. It was a good breakup right there. Right. Great throw, better defense. Right. But it's about volume. Right. OK, we know you can do that for 4 throws. Can you do that 8 or 10 throws, right? How accurate can you be on those throws, right? Everybody, it's easy to make one shot. It's real hard to make, 3 or 4 shots, in a row, right? And that's what you want to see. It's about the volume of being able to do that. It's about being able to get David Njoku involved in the structure of the offense instead of having to draw up like a bunch of screens for him to get the ball in his hands. It's about getting Elijah Moore involved in the structure of this offense. I thought another thing that was encouraging was him staying in that pocket and not flooding so early like he did, the 5 plays he played against Indianapolis and, in Pittsburgh, right, where he was flooding fast out. That's going to be the test, right, this week. I want to see him stay in that pocket, stand tall, step up, and make some big boy throws down the field like we usually see him do, and resist the urge to kind of try to break the defense by breaking the pocket and scrambling out and throwing on a run, because that's exactly what Baltimore wants you to do. Baltimore wants you to think that you're going to break them to make big plays. They're used to that. Where you're not going to do to Baltimore is break them. What you can do with Baltimore is stretch them and break them in the pocket, right? Because they don't want you to take those shots in the first 3 seconds of that play. They want you to wait until the play gets extended, because they got traps laid out for you. They're going to get their interceptions that way. So, yeah, for Deshaun, I want to see just a higher volume of what you saw against Arizona, and then figure out whatever's been going on with them ever since coming back with the suspension with the short throws, because the short throw stuff, like people were making it about the shoulder, and I just seen too much evidence of that being a thing before the shoulder to just blame it on the shoulder, right? It seems like every game he's had one of those weird short throws, right? You could go back to Pittsburgh where he had to throw on stick that just completely went awry. You go back to the other Pittsburgh game last year where he had a couple throws that happened like that. The Texans game last year where it went like that. Like whatever's going on with them short throws. And I had Jake Burns on here. He couldn't really describe to me what would be going on there. Like just whatever's going on there, he's got to figure that out.
It just seems like maybe a rep thing. Like, he hasn't had, and I've heard Jake say this before, he just hasn't had the amount of game reps that you just really want. Like, your quarterback, you want them to have, a ton of game reps and just the rhythm of throwing the football. And he just, unfortunately, just has not had enough games in a row. He had the 6 last year, then he had the layoff. Then we all know what happened this year. So he's been stopping. He had a lot of rust and a lot of rhythm stuff before. So I think a lot of it is just being able to play football consistently, play after play, game after game, and getting into some sort of rhythm. But I agree with you. I think, it's the volume stuff. It's, and I think he's going to have to do some answering too. Like, there's times where the Browns defense, they may give up something and he may need to get downfield and answer some drives that Lamar Jackson has. And, when you can answer those drives, what it does, it gives your defense rest and it gives them that mental energy to be like, okay, we don't got to worry about going out here trying to give up like no points or we got to stop them every go 3 and out. We got a dude that can back us up. Even if they do come and get points, we can come back and he can keep us in this game. So I think the energy level is big, and I think the Browns got to get off to a fast start. They've been giving up a lot of points in the first quarter. I think they need to be a front runner for once. Give me a 14-7, a 14-3, something like that, 14-10. You know what I'm saying? To keep everything in a way where you don't have to go and feel like you got to play over your head in the second half to win a ball game.
You got to make sure that you don't let the Ravens slow the pace like they want to, right?
Slow pace. I hate that.
Because like
the shotgun and, and the pistol.
It's so funny to me because I feel like the perception of the Ravens nationally and even locally to some people and the reality of them is different. The only thing that's like the same between those both schools of thoughts are like, oh, that they're good. They are, but like I think people get it wrong. They hear Lamar Jackson. It's kind of like the same thing with the Bengals where everybody thinks like, oh, it's that offense that dominates. It's like, no, the defense dominates. The offense is explosive, but they're not consistent, right? So that's where you can get them. If you could break that defense a little bit, you can beat the Cincinnati Bengals. But if you can't, then you ain't gonna have no luck. And the same thing happens with Baltimore, where it's like, people are like, they're aggressive on defense and they blitz all this and that they're aggressive on offense. It couldn't be further from the truth. They play chess, right? Like they sit back and they, what they want to do? They want to move their pawns, right? Up and down the chessboard. See where you going to do? Oh, you going to do that? Okay, we're going to move this here and then we got you. Checkmate, right? That's usually the second, third quarter. They'll let that game sit. You watch Raven games, they always sit for like a quarter or, they just sit there because they just trying to test you out. Okay, what you about to do? Oh, you about to do? Okay. Yeah. We'll let you get that 5-yard check now. We'll let you get that. Oh, yeah. And teams fall into that trap. And then what they do, they start kicking them pawns off the board, right? One by one. All your most effective pawns, they start picking it up. And then now you get frustrated. You can't get up and down the board. What you do, you start making big Hail Mary. You move your rook 10 spaces. And the next thing you know, open the trap, right? That's what they want you to do. They want to bore you to death, right? So there's two ways to answer that, right? Either you're Tom Brady and you're okay with boredom and you bore them back to death, or you shock them. This is a week for me. I want two things: up the middle running, because they run them double mug fronts, so you know that they're gonna be dropping those guys out like crazy. So you get free 7 yards right there. Most of the times they do that if you just run it straight at it. And two, I want to take shots like down the field early in this game. I really wouldn't be surprised if Kevin opened this game trying to just get him the bag on back, right? I'm going to open this game. First thing I'm going to do, I'm gonna take a shot, not a double flea flicker shot. Like I'm gonna take a shot. We gonna just a regular dagger concept, right? I'm gonna take a shot, and we gonna take the over, and we gonna tell you what time we on early in this game, right? And I think I wouldn't be surprised if they want the ball to start the game so they can set the tone offensively. Defensively, it's kind of like, hey, it depends on if you get the tackle. But I feel like if the offense starts going downhill, the defenses start going downhill, and you can force the Ravens into playing your game because the Browns play checkers, right? We're going to take all your port. We don't care how we do it. We just getting this piece off, getting that piece off, getting that. We going for all your pieces. We go with volume and overwhelming. And the Ravens don't want us to do that. So we can't just give them a passive game plan and force ourselves out of what we want to do. We got to impose our will. And that's why this is going to be a heavyweight battle, G-Bush, because this isn't about two teams with similar styles trying to no. This is about a struggle of trying to force your philosophy onto another team to dictate the pace of the game. And those are the games that, look, it's going to be a battle in the first quarter. And both teams, I think, are going to come out swinging.
Yeah, I think you got to you can't give Lamar Jackson you can't give him two-way goals. Like you got to either make it be known. Listen, if you want to run the ball, okay, we're gonna shut some passing stuff down, make it difficult for you. But you can't let him pass the ball, sit back in the pistol formation, and do these slow read options. And I'm gonna decide whether I'm an RPO or no. You got to stop either the run or you got to do something. You got to stop either run or the pass. And for me, I look at it like this: if Lamar Jackson wants to sit back there and he wants to carve me up in his best Joe Burrow impersonation, I'll shake his hand and say, congratulations, Lamar, you did it again, right? But I'm not going to let you carve us up, have all time to throw, and then still give you 6-7 yards on little scrambles or dipsy doos out of bounds or just finding something. Listen, always remember, like, as defensive ends as well, if he stops his feet, you can't stop your feet. Like,
don't be so afraid to miss a tackle. Like, just go to make him do something else, right? Like, you can't just let him do what he wants. You gotta, like, even if you miss, make him do something
aggressive, right?
else.
Like make him look at all times. Just guess. Look, listen. Do you think he's cutting it back against the grain where your help is, or do you think he just wants to get outside and get out of bounds? Yeah, I would guess he wants to get outside.
It's truly you gotta make a decision, right? There's no time for guessing, because while you're doing all that thinking, he's gonna make you look embarrassed,
Crazy.
Right? So ain't no thinking. You just gotta go, right? And that's why I think JOK has been effective against him, because let me tell you something, man. JOK, see ball, get ball, right? See ball, get ball. And sometimes he gets faked out, but boy, when he's on, right? And I would think his second game playing this offense, he's going to be a little bit more accurate. I would think Jim Schwartz's second game playing this offense, they're going to be a little bit more active. They're going to be a little bit more instinctive. And I know everybody's like, we just need to play a safe game and not try to do this and just not be, no. You be you, right? Mike Tyson ain't win no fighting like Muhammad Ali, right? Mike Tyson got to be Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson don't work the jab.
Mike got to get under.
Listen, he's trying to hit you with that uppercut. Try to knock your block off, and you get in there and jab. Listen, you can't do it with him. Make him, because when Lamar Jackson, when you attack him, you force him to make a one-way go. You're not gonna give him two ways. And
this is truly a heavyweight battle. Yes, this is gonna be a knockdown, drag 'em heavyweight battle, because it's going to be a battle and a consistent tug between two elite units to try to force the game into something, right? And the only thing that can make a difference on a drive for drive basis is going to be the quarterbacks, and you hope that the quarterback play lives up to it, but it's going to be a constant tug of war of like, hey, no, you gonna do this. This how this game gonna fuck. Nah.
Right.
We gonna be aggressive. That's what we gonna do. And those kind of battles, like that's what used to make Pittsburgh versus Baltimore very interesting back in the early 2010s. And I think that's what's gonna make this matchup interesting, because like when the Browns play the Bengals, it's a bad matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Like it just does not work out for him. When the Browns play the Steelers, for whatever reason, it ends up being a bad matchup for us. But when we play Baltimore, it's a battle of, it's a clash of styles, right?
Yep.
No style is super effective versus the other, but both styles must be themselves in order to win, and that always leads for a knockdown dragon fight. And keep in mind, Baltimore, they got to gear up again and play Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football right after they play us. So who knows where they're going to be at focus wise, or how focused you can be on this game when you know that that's coming up as well. So, look, I understand Baltimore was hot coming into this game, and I think there's a lot of Browns fans that look at us go, oh, I don't know. Said that versus San Francisco before, right? Like when we do that versus San Francisco. Now it's on the road. It's different. It's a division game though. And no division games are automatic loss no matter what. We know that in the AFC North. It's just different out here. But G, thank you for coming on, man. Got the old school orders. No Kool-Aid merch. You know, you got the barbershop.
Yeah,
okay.
Little Under Armour.
All right. You know what I mean?
Like, you know what I mean? That's a little something. Just
you notice G done had his hair cut the last couple of times, but now he had the box out, everything, you know, but now he got the hat on. So.
Oh, listen, I see you stuck that one in.
And everybody having everybody have a great night, man. Wow. Wow. Hit me with the, see, I gotta find a way to cut that out.
You listen, you